Todd Blanche is in deep trouble and has told the Senate that the weaponization fund that he just announced 2 weeks ago is not only on life support, but that it's being put out of its misery by Donald Trump. But that doesn't matter to a federal judge in Miami, Judge Williams, who wants to know whether its original birth of the anti-weaponization fund for almost $2 billion was the product of collusion on the court, and whether it was a fraud on the court. And also, Todd Blanche never answers the fundamental question: if the fund is going to be put out of its misery or our misery, does that mean his next day attempt to revise the settlement agreement to give Donald Trump tax immunity, if you will, for 16 years of tax audit period, is that also being eliminated? Or is Donald Trump going forward with that as well? He never answers that question. And I just had J Michael Luttig, the world-class former federal judge, appellate judge, one of the 35 judges who filed a motion with Judge Williams to convince her to reopen the IRS case, on with me with an exclusive interview. And as Todd Blanche was telling the Senate and in Congress that the weaponization fund is dead, Judge Luttig has a response, and you're going to want to hear it here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. I'm Michael Popok. Let's get to it. Blanche, of course, had to appear again 2 weeks after his last appearance. He appeared on the 18th of May, and he never talked about the settlement that led to the weaponization fund, nor the attempt to absolve Donald Trump and his family of tax liability, because he did that later after he got done with his testimony. But now he's back. And after the Senate completely excoriated him, I'm talking about the Republicans, most of them for 2 hours ripped Todd Blanche a new one and said they would not, for political reasons, legal reasons, or moral reasons, support a fund or fund a fund that would pay people who beat up the police on Jan 6th. In other words, Trump may have rewritten history, but the senators remember a belly crawling on Jan 6th to get away from that mad crowd and that mob, right? So after that, he now is in front of the Senate or the House and Congress, and he says this about the weaponization fund. But notice he never talks about the tax liability issue. Play the clip.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Attorney General, I wanted to ask a few questions about the anti-weaponization fund. We know that the department has agreed to pause this effort until at least June 12th. I wanted to ask what your plans were for the fund after June 12th.
So thank you. So look, we're not moving forward with the fund. You're right that there's a date that in the case in the Eastern District of Virginia in June, but we are not moving forward with the fund, period. The reasons for the fund is something that President Trump talked about for a long time, which is the fact that there were a lot of people in this country who had their government weaponized against them. The reasons for the fund, I think, remain as important as they were before, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
Not moving forward ever?
Correct.
Oh, there's no more fund then?
Well, to the extent there was a fund, and remember the fund wasn't set up yet. There were no commissioners named. There was no claimants brought anything in front of. There was no claims made yet. So yes, we're not moving forward with the fund.
You and associate.
Now, almost right on cue, as that was going on, I happened to be interviewing J Michael Luttig, along with Andres Rivero, a Miami lawyer who's representing the 35 judges, about the case in front of Judge Williams. And we discussed whether, even if Donald Trump wanted to dismiss the case, which he's already dismissed in Miami, can't dismiss that which you've already dismissed, how does he get out from under and avoid having to answer Judge Williams' hard questions that are due on the 12th of June, which are, did you defraud me? Did you collude to defraud this court? And what should the sanction be? There's not much he can do to get out from under it. He's sued in his personal capacity and the rest. And then towards the end of my interview, and I want to show you the clip, Judge Luttig said something extraordinary in terms of breaking news. This was in almost like a call and response to Todd Blanche. Let's play Judge Luttig here on Legal AF.
I don't come on your show to make news, as you know, but today, as of today, for the first time, I'm prepared to say that Donald Trump has lost his war on the federal judiciary, the Constitution, and the rule of law in America.
Our next sponsor had a story that really resonated with me, especially with everything around metabolism and trying to approach it the right way. This podcast is sponsored by Veracity. Ali Egan, Veracity's founder, CEO, and certified hormonal health coach, experienced compromised metabolic health firsthand, including years of undiagnosed Hashimoto's, an autoimmune disease that impacts the thyroid. She found functional medicine, which focused on underlying root causes and helped her take her health back into her own hands. Veracity was created to give people access to holistic solutions and support optimal health. With their most popular product, Metabolism Ignite, you get an all-natural caffeine-free formula made with ingredients like lemon verbena, hibiscus extract, green coffee bean extract, and magnesium. Clinical trials showed no negative side effects from the ingredients. I like that it's a simple doctor-formulated option to support your metabolism. So learn from Ali and make the switch to Veracity. Head to veracityhealth.co and use code LEGALAF for up to 65% off your order. Once again, that's VERACITY health.co for up to 65% off, and make sure you use my promo code LEGALAF so they know I sent you. Right. Because the political will and the tectonic plates have shifted now against Donald Trump. He's found the two third rails that he keeps grabbing. One is the Epstein files. America, even MAGA, will not abide somebody who's covering up a child sex trafficking ring, an international child sex trafficking ring run by your former best friend. That is a bridge too far. And the other third rail that Donald Trump keeps electrocuting himself on is about Jan 6th. See, you can wave a magic wand and have the Department of Justice that you control, that you've captured, rip out all the press releases announcing the arrest and the capture and the sentencing and the convictions of Jan 6ers and exonerate them and pardon them and try to go to court to remove the indictments. But the people that were inside the chamber, belly crawling with faces covered to get out of the joint session, while the angry mob fomented by Donald Trump was not only at the door, but inside the inside Congress with murderous cries. They don't forget that, especially when you're trying to reward them with money, the insurrectionists, the ones that were attacking. And so when the political will shifted against Donald Trump and caught him flat-footed, and Todd Blanche as well, who I think is going to have a hard time getting the top job permanently because he's going to have to go to these same senators and get their votes for a confirmation hearing. And here, even when Todd Blanche appears in front of them again, he still is double talking and double speaking about the other big part of the settlement, that a day after they entered into that settlement and all the media went crazy and everybody went nuts, what did he do? He tried to amend the settlement by himself with none of the other parties in a one-paragraph document that tried to exonerate the Trump family from tax exposure for the prior 16 years. Where is that? There's no political will for that. It's against IRS policy. It's against the law. It's a breach of the domestic emoluments clause of the Constitution, giving the president a benefit above his office, above his salary. And it won't be tolerated. And yet, we're continuing to talk about it. So don't be fooled by the top line reporting about, well, Todd Blanche says it's over and the senators say it's over, so it's over. No. We got a case in front of Judge Brinkema that's going to a hearing about an injunction to stop the fund. And then the underlying foundations of this decision to try to file a phony lawsuit, settle a phony lawsuit, all is now before Judge Williams. And she's going to be waiting on a second brief, one by Trump's lawyers on the 12th, one by the judges on the 19th. And then according to my sources, including the lawyers that are handling the cases, they expect that there's going to be a hearing by Judge Williams on this as well. And all the, we were only kidding, it was just a trial balloon, dead on arrival, we're not doing it, not going to work in front of Judge Williams. Because her issue is whether she and the federal court has been defrauded or not. And that's the top line story that we'll continue to follow here on Legal AF and on the MeidasTouch Network. Take a minute, come over to Legal AF YouTube channel, hit the free subscribe button as we continue to grow our pro-democracy channel.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.